I meant to start off by saying that some of the familiar faces that are normally here for Mass aren't here because they're back at St. Anthony's in Cambridge making Portuguese fried dough, malasadas. We have our bazaar this weekend, our holiday bazaar, and one of the centerpieces of that is our Portuguese fried dough. I'm not going to compare it to the Italian. Ours is better. Ours is better. At any rate, so I thank them for doing that, and hopefully we'll see many people at the bazaar this weekend. What is bizarre kind of is a story, isn't it, that we hear. It sounds like Jesus is telling us that we should do criminal acts almost, that we should lie. Do you think that's what Jesus means? It's shocking, isn't it? And it was just as shocking to the people who heard it when Jesus was telling the story. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. Why would Jesus say, be like that steward? Because he was concerned about his own well-being, wasn't he? He wasn't concerned about his master. He wasn't concerned about his friends. He was concerned about how he was going to live out the rest of his life, because he couldn't dig holes. He couldn't work hard. He was used to being a steward, just telling people, this is what you owe my master, this is your rent, this is what you need to do, that's what you need to do. And then all of a sudden, his master finds out that he's been pocketing a little on the side. But what Jesus is telling us, and what he was telling his listeners even in those days, is that you have to sometimes learn from the people of the world to live in the next world. To date, I haven't met anyone who doesn't want to get into heaven. And I presume there's no one here or in our listening audience who doesn't want to get to heaven. We all want to get there. St. Paul even tells us our citizenship is in heaven. I bet some people are wishing that they were citizens of heaven before Tuesday instead of citizens of the United States with what may happen in our own nation. However, we live what we must and do what our conscience tells us and allows. To be citizens of heaven, what is required? What is required is, as St. Paul tells us, to be imitators of him. And so if we want to be in heaven, if we want to be citizens of heaven, then we need to be imitators of the saints. It sounds easy when you say it. Then you look at people like Mother Teresa of Calcutta and you say, oh, how could I possibly be like her? I have a nice home. I'm going to give that up. I don't have the streets of India to go out to bring people in. Or we look at St. Martin de Porres. No, St. Martin of Tours. It's so confusing. St. Martin of Tours, who was a soldier, and when he saw a naked beggar on the side of the road, realized that he had to do something because he was Christian. He believed in Jesus Christ, and so he cut his cloak in half and gave half to the beggar. It wasn't a cloak that he was going to throw in the Goodwill box, Planet Aid or St. Vincent de Paul. It was his cloak that he used to protect himself from the weather as a soldier. But he was moved to give half of what he had at that moment to this beggar. And that night he dreamt seeing Jesus covered in that cloak. There are so many images of saints that we have. Jesus is telling us, if you want to be in heaven, look at the people of this world, how they make friends with one another to get ahead in this world. We must make friends with the saints to get ahead or to get into the next world. And so we choose a saint, or we choose a virtue, or we choose something that we can do. Something within our means, maybe a little beyond our means, to make it a sacrifice. The steward was helping his friends. We need to help those who are our brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. Brothers and sisters in the family of God. To next time we see someone on the side of the street asking for money, not say, oh, he's going to use that for alcohol. Oh, he's probably wealthier than I am. You don't know that. You don't know that. Take $1 out of your wallet. Take $1 out of your pocketbook, out of your pocket. I keep dollars now in a little case in my car. It's not the easiest thing to do because those thoughts run through my mind sometimes. But as St. Vincent Paul teaches us, who are we to judge how they're going to use that money? Hopefully for a meal. Let us be converted. Let us desire to be citizens of heaven so that we may be all called to the kingdom of God to live forever with his saints.